I am sick and tired of writing in Emacs. This might be a bit of a funny title for this video, because just recently I've shown my Emacs configuration for writing and how I really like it, and it's very nice and clean, as you can see here. So this is an Emacs window with some text I've written and all this kind of stuff. But I realized in the last few weeks that writing in Emacs, or really, and I mean Emacs is just kind of the particular program that I use to write, but writing on a computer, like in general, is just a really big hassle. So, and I realized this because I was thinking about writing, and I thought about, well, when the summer is coming now, it's going to be again a bit of a pain to write like outdoors, because then I have to like move my computer outdoors if I want to kind of sit in the sun at least a bit, and it's gonna be hard to read on the screen. And I mean with like text, black text on white background, it's a bit better, I guess. And also if you have like a modern computer with a good screen and high nits, or what it's called, so high screen brightness and stuff like that. But it's always a hassle, at least for me. So also because I don't, so on this extra 100 I'm running, of course the extra 100 itself has like a terrible screen by like today's standards. Also this laptop doesn't have a battery, or at least I don't have a battery for it. And even if I had, the batteries, I mean, it's a very old laptop. I mean, the battery doesn't last that long. I think in the past when I've used the battery on the extra 100, it had like a few hours at best, like 2-3 hours maybe of runtime. So I also need like a power supply and stuff like that, and it's all of this stuff. And then you might say, well, okay, but yeah, sure, I mean that's just what it takes, right? But writing on a computer, I realized also, is like the act of writing itself on a computer is very counterproductive in a way, for me, at least when it comes to like first draft writing. As in, I want to write something and I just need to get the stuff on the paper, like the words on paper, right? So it's not about editing, it's not about word choice, like in particular. It's not about, it's not about this, not about structuring, not about any of the stuff. Also not about formatting, of course, but I mean, that's kind of obvious. So it's not about any of that, but it's only about, I want to get my thoughts on paper, or well, I want to store my thoughts in text somewhere, right? And I found the computer to be very counterproductive to this, because it's so easy to edit your stuff. So, and I mean, if you've ever written something, I mean, you probably know this kind of mode of thinking of constantly going backwards in your text and trying to like optimize it. Like, could I use a different word for this, or should I use great, or should I use magnificent, or and all this kind of stuff, which doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter for the task of just getting your words, like just formulating a text in a first draft kind of sense. And this is really what I mean with writing with this. So when I say I'm sick and tired of writing on a computer or in Emacs, I don't mean, of course, kind of formatting or editing or doing any of that stuff. Because for this, like for editing and also for formatting and publishing, I mean, a computer is a pretty, like, I mean, you're gonna have a hard time beating it in terms of efficiency, right? But when it just comes down to like writing your stuff out, I found it to actually stand in the way of that, because of this high efficiency in editing. Like that's the kind of the point, right? So it takes away from this, well, I'm just gonna write it out, because you're constantly going back. At least I am. So again, there are a few different aspects to this. Like one is the whole dependency aspect. You depend on power, you depend on your computer state, you depend on, I don't know, like different things, right? And you are not free to just in the summer sit in the sun and write, because your computer, like these dependencies kind of stand in the way of that. I hope I made that's understandable. So, and when just writing on paper, you are free. You are free from, like, you could even say you're free from the system to a certain degree, because you don't depend on power. You don't depend on a high nit modern display and stuff like that, right? And you might say, well, it's way more inefficient, and I would actually disagree, because of course, like writing your stuff in a computer like directly is of course would seem more efficient when you intend to also edit your text on the computer and publish it through the computer, right? But this is, I think it's not as it seems, because of course now if I write some text on paper and then I want to edit it on my computer, I first have to kind of transcribe it from my paper to the computer, right? And you might think, whoa, that's such a hassle, but it really isn't, because you only have to do it one time, right? You only have to go through the text and transcribe it once. And again, it's not that big of a deal for me because it's a one-time effort. And also I have to go through the text anyways. Like I have to go through it anyways and look at all the words and all the, okay, does this make sense, and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's really not that big a deal, for me at least. And all the advantages I gain from this kind of method of working, I think far outweigh the disadvantages, in my opinion at least. So yeah, that's kind of it. That's all I wanted to say in this video. So of course I'm sticking with Emacs for like editing text, and also obviously for programming and yeah, for everything that has to do with text. Of course Emacs is the best for that, hands down. But when it comes to like first draft writing, getting my thoughts on literal paper, I prefer pen and paper at this point. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say in this video. So yeah, have a nice day.